Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. Definitely after this week because North London is Reds and slightly Norwegian as well, as you can tell from the title of this podcast. Joining me this evening are three men that I am assured 66% of them are wearing trousers. We'll start with he's self-titled Mike Feinberg's love child. It's Dani. He's got to be here.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here, Josh. I shouldn't have been here, but John's entire company is on its knees and he's had to go and do it. I was only meant to be producing. And before the show, people, my camera went on the floor and everyone's seen my baby shrew.
There's only so much domestos that's available to rub into my eyes now. Unfortunately, especially with everything going on, I can only get 3 per household. So I'm going to have to start going in with disguises, different masks to pick up more bleach for my eyes. Anyway, I should probably introduce the other 2 people here and move swiftly away from Dani's nether regions. And Rich, this isn't a link based on Dani's nether regions. This is just purely because I'm going to you next because of the order in the boxes. So, Rich, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Glad that I was late. Yeah, that's all I can say. How are you, my man? How are you?
Oh, I'm very good. Always good when we win a couple of games in a row. So I haven't been that great this season. Let's put it that way. But at least we got back-to-backs. And finally, to introduce Nick. I can't think of anything else now. I've exhausted all of my hilarious lines or unhilarious.
Saving the worst till last, I suppose.
Well, no one got to see Dani's true, so yeah, I think that you'll have to do an alternative. But where should we start in this kind of week? I think we could crack straight into the North London derby, but there is another game we've got to talk about first, which was our away/home leg to Olympiacos. And Rich, we saw the Mr. Norway man kick a ball good and he got his first goal for the club. So what did you make of that game?
Yeah, he didn't just kick it good. He absolutely thunderbasted that, didn't he? Yeah, it was much improved performance from what we've been serving up. It was, like I said, really good. We were as good as Olympiacos were poor. In that game, in my opinion, kind of thing. I did the live show with John, and I think that was the general gist. It was decent, apart from some harem scarum bits going on in defence. Mainly us putting ourselves up the Swanee, but generally it was decent. And that shot from Odegaard, what a lad! It just made an absolute fool of the goalkeeper who, earlier on in the game, had produced a wonder save. But yeah, good stuff, man.
Absolutely. And Nick, do you think the result with 3-1, that gives us everything? I'm saying 3-1. I'm doing that by memory. We did win 3-1, didn't we? Yes.
Yeah, I think we won 3-1. But I think that was our away tie. It wasn't the home tie. So we got 3 away goals.
Yeah, I was saying because it was the stadium we played our home leg in last round. In the previous round. But yeah, do you think that 3 goals is enough for us? We've got 2-goal lead going into it with the 3 away goals. Do you think that's enough to see us through the tie?
Is that ever enough for us when we're playing in any type of European competition? Probably not. I mean, because I think you can use a lot of extra subs in the next game. Just, put out a really strong side, get a couple of goals up, and then just bring everyone on and rest them. I think if they score first, they might start getting a bit excited and start kicking us. So we just got to finish them off as quickly as possible on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dani, anything else for the Olympiacos game from you? Because the exciting bit is the North London derby, isn't it?
When you're out shopping and then you see one of your exes and you look at them and you think you either miss them or you shudder and go, oh. Every time I saw Socrates, I went, oh, and then realised, oh, thank. Oh, I had a moment there. I thought he was playing for us as he's running around looking like he's got no fucking idea, like a 60-year-old man when he's still only, he's about 22, 23. I'd see him, I thought, this This is why he's gone, because he's a fucking liability. He's absolute dog shit, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Much like the whole of their team. They were absolute shit. And in the preview show, which I did with, I can't remember because I've done so many shows, I predicted 3-1. And so, yes, I did nothing with that because I don't believe in gambling. It's the devil's work. But they were shit, and we were unlucky that we didn't score more because we had 18 shots. 18 shots. And how many of them were on target? I hear you asking. 8 were on target, 4 were off target, 6 were blocked. Their goalkeeper, Sa, had to go into A&E after this because he was battered and bruised because he took a hell of a shellacking, as I once heard someone say in a film once. But we're very impressive, and I didn't realise that the return leg is actually at home. So we've got a home game, and it's on at 5:55 on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that. But they're shit.
I forgot that Socrates was even playing for a lot of the game.
Yeah,
he was
absolutely.
that anonymous kind of thing. But I love the fact that, I mean, that's taken us, less than 6 minutes because everyone just wants to get Olympiacos out the way. Let's talk about the North London derby.
Can we give a thumbs up to
and hopefully
to Thingy's goal as well? For Elneny's goal as well. That was a nice goal. He deserves at least a mention.
Oh. He only scored European goals, didn't he, Josh?
He does. It's the same as Smith Rowe, I want to say. Smith Rowe hasn't scored a Premier League goal and has also got 4 goals in his Arsenal career. And yeah, what a strike from Elneny.
It was a bit odd that the game was quite shit, but all of our goals were fantastic. That's a sign that the team's improving, that we don't necessarily play good football, but when we score goals, we score great goals. We saw that against quite a few teams this season. They go, that's a beautiful goal. I think there's the Leeds game. We scored 2 or 3 really good goals in that game as well. And that's when you tell me we only scored 2. But either way, the number of really well played, accurate shots and timed goals that we're scoring makes me happy. It makes me enjoy watching those moments. But there was a point when I think it was 1-1 and I had the tweet ready. What the fuck is Arteta doing bringing on Elneny? This is why we don't win games. And I thought, hold on a sec. I'm going to go and, I don't know, eat some cake or whatever it is I usually do. And by the time I'd wiped the sausage cake from my lips, bang, he scored a goal. Delete. Elneny, what a substitution.
I think the same was said with Willian and him coming onto the pitch as well. So I think that's a man who has not received praise at all this season, but somehow has got 5 assists in, 5 games up until that point?
But it's like a fungi, isn't it? No one really likes a fungal infection, but once you get going, you get quite used to it, and it does well. Like foot disease. What's that one? Athlete's foot.
Athlete's foot.
Yeah. He's the human athlete's
Maybe
foot.
an analogy a bit too far for me, but
yeah, I'm not sure that's the metaphor we should be going for. But
just picturing Arteta rubbing Cannonston cream all over Willian now. It's not nice.
There you go. If anyone's had a fungal infection, feel free to send Chris pictures of it now that he's back on Twitter.
Oh, that's a spoiler. That was my shout out for later. That yeah, after the North London derby, miracles really do happen, and the Pirate is back to plaguing.
Your secret? How could it be a secret? He hasn't shut up about it. He's made up for 6 months of no tweets in one afternoon. Guess who's back? All right, Eminem, back in your box, Treacle. No one missed you.
Don't worry, the French league's back, and I was going to say,
I'm sure he'll get banned soon enough. Don't worry.
Anyway, where should we start? The North London derby. I think we'll still keep teasing, like a fluffer, a set that John frequents maybe once or twice. Let's talk about Aubameyang and that boy getting stuck in traffic. Where should we start? I think we'll go quickly around. Everybody answer this one word answer, not a 1 word question. Never get there. Should he have been dropped for being late? Dani?
No. I've seen the photo.
All right. Nick, would you have dropped Aubameyang for being late?
No, you don't cut your nose off to spite your face for things like that.
And Rich?
Yes, but there are caveats to this. My answer.
Oh,
More than
right.
one word.
That is more than one word. But you know
How about
what?
you,
Let's
Josh?
keep going into it. Do I think it was right?
It's your
I
bloody
think it was
question. I thought you'd have thought about the answer before you asked us.
That's true. Yes, I think he was right to drop him. No one is
50-50.
bigger. No one's bigger than the club, in my opinion, in that one. And Rich, do you want to expand on your caveat of?
Well, just because from what we've been hearing and stuff like that, this isn't the first time it's happened, and it's not a first offence. It's happened quite often, and by all accounts, other a couple of the senior players were quite in favour of this, to kind of not knock him down a peg or two, kind of thing. But you have standards and you have rules that you set out that everybody must comply to, kind of thing. And if it's, like I say, if it's once, that's fair enough. But if it's a habit and continue, you need to set your stall out. When do you do it? When otherwise you just lose the dressing room, you lose the players, you lose all authority, and that's maybe that's why we ended up with a messed up dressing room, people doing what they want, saying what they want, not playing when they didn't want, and things like that. Ultimately, Arteta has to live by the sword and die by the sword. He put these quote unquote non-negotiables down. If you break the rules, you kind of have to suffer the consequences. So I mean, I was more pissed off about the timing of it and what he said in the build up, kind of thing, if that makes any sense, like before kickoff, about saying that he was dropped because of a disciplinary issue, which made like a massive thing. And Arteta's very lucky in the sense that had this fixture not gone well for him, mate, the knives would be proper out for dropping your captain, your star striker, on the eve of the North London derby. But I mean, if he allowed him to play, I wouldn't have really bothered with it, kind of thing. But I think the rules are there, that all the team has agreed to, that all the players have agreed to, and you have to live by those rules, kind of thing. It's what seems odd is the fact that it supposedly is for lateness. Is the fact that normally, like, the players deal with that in house, which is a bit normally a bit strange. Normally you just get fined and stuff like that. But from what I've read and stuff like that, it's a serial thing, and this was the consequence, kind of thing. Is that him in traffic? Is that the?
Yeah, I think that's him on the bike. Someone took a picture and they date stamped it and said this is why he was late, because they've got all this low traffic network or whatever it's called in London, and it's an absolute fucking nightmare and nobody can move. So I think that's either him on the bike or him in that polo, because I can't see any other, or maybe the Ford Focus. For people at home not watching this, there's just a picture of all the traffic, and I think that's McLaren or Koenigsegg or something like that, and it's very slow.
It's the Ferrari. That's what he's currently driving.
Oh, the LaFerrari.
Here's a LaFerrari.
Like Rich was saying, this has happened before. And someone, I was listening to I don't know what I was listening to. I probably dreamt this. And they were saying that at Dortmund, he got in trouble because a couple of times when training was over, he didn't even bother the warm down. He just got in his car and went home. And he has been a bit of a... It's not really troublemaking, is it? But it is concerning when your captain should be the first there and the last to leave, shouldn't they?
Well, sorry to butt in. Supposedly he did that as well. Supposedly he didn't stay for the warm down. He left
at Arsenal.
Yeah, after the North London derby, the game. He didn't do the warm down. Allegedly, he zoomed out. He was gone. I think 23 minutes or something stupid, arbitrary like that. 23 minutes after the full time whistle, he didn't hang about. Which
maybe
kind of
beat the traffic.
Maybe. But I mean, that doesn't bode well. But I've seen pictures of him training today, and he looks happy enough. So
yeah, I think it's obviously hindsight is 50-50 or 20-20, not 50-50. get my things the wrong way around. But yeah, hindsight's 2020. So obviously, looking at it now, I'm sure there's a vast majority of people who have swayed from saying no, it wasn't right to drop him for that because you need your best players for, especially a game like the North London derby, have kind of moved to, well, it worked out all right. But that shows some serious cojones from our manager, Nick. And I know you said you don't want to, cut your nose off to spite your face. Do you think it was still a bit odd that he made the bench?
Yeah, if you're going to kick him out for disciplinary reasons, you should have just sent him home. So if you don't want to play for Arsenal, go away. And yeah, it's just irritating because you've got Arteta, obviously the manager, Mertesacker's there. You've got two ex-captains of Arsenal. They know what it's like to be a captain for Arsenal. Per Mertesacker, it was obviously, he was like the debt collector there of people being late and fines and stuff like that. And it's just a shame it came to that. I mean, we've always worked with someone who always seems to be late and get away with it. And then that one day you're late for whatever reason, you've had a car accident or whatever, and you just get grief from your management. It's not nice, but they should have done some, the players should have basically all surrounded him long before this and just sorted out between themselves whether or not he gets punished, he has to sing silly songs and clean the showers in a leopard print thong or something. I don't know. You do not. The whole point of being a professional footballer is to play football, and to not have him there available. So, like you said, if Lacazette had missed that penalty, we would all have completely different ideas, and it shouldn't have got there. And that's the sort of stuff we want to keep in house. I don't know. I think someone leaked it, didn't he? Was it Ornstein leaked it?
I think it came from Swedish newspapers had said that he was late, but Arteta said in his pre-match conference that, not press conference, pre-match interview, that Aubameyang wasn't in the starting 11 for disciplinary issues. And then I think people worked out that perhaps, I think that photo certainly helped that Dani just put up of him. I can't remember where that is. Somewhere hill.
It is bad though, because, it's a Sunday. There isn't as much traffic as there would normally be because we're on lockdown. You could get up at 8 o'clock, have a nice lay, and he's still got 8.5 hours to get to work. How do you possibly be late? And captain, you are late if you're not half an hour early than everybody else. That's the mentality you should have. Yeah,
and that's where I totally agree with it. That if depending on how late Aubameyang was in the grand scheme of things, like if he arrived at the same time the rest of the players did, I think that's slightly different to, if he.
Do you think Arteta was there after any player? Or do you think Arteta was there before anyone else?
Oh, Arteta should be the first one there. He's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he camped overnight at the Emirates. He seems like that kind of man that would be there, first man in, unlocking the gates with Edu, so to speak. I think that's the kind of timing that Arteta should be there, and especially for a game as important as this, is you've got to have everybody there, everybody towing the line, and it's an important day for us. And let's get into the game as well. Where should we start with it? We'll start with the first half. Rich, do you want to talk us through that kind of first half? Because we were completely dominant for the first 20 minutes. As per previous games, but where'd you go from there?
It was everything that you wanted from an Arsenal performance, really, apart from scoring an early goal or anything and getting the first goal. Although supposedly that's a bad omen in the North London derby, but it was brilliant. We were on it from the minute one, and the thing that I really enjoyed about it was we were dominant in possession, but it was aggressive possession. It was progressive possession. We were actually doing stuff. It wasn't just keep ball between the centre backs and going in the old arc of frustration. It was we were getting in behind them. We were pulling them apart. Every person looked like they were on it. Emile Smith-Rowe was just absolutely fantastic that first half. Him and Tierney absolutely tore Doherty a new one. If everybody, Odegaard with his pressing, his chasing down, his movement, finding little pockets of space. It was they did absolutely nothing, and I was quite surprised at how passive Spurs were. And I don't know if it was because that was kind of part of their game plan, that classic Mourinho, just sit tight, do nothing, wait for a mistake or something and just capitalize it. But I think it was maybe a little bit of that, but a little bit of we were just on it, which is what you'd want to see from Arsenal, let alone in a North London derby. You want to see that blood and thunder. You want to see and not just running around like headless chicken and stuff. It was sensible. It was smart. It was pressing when we need to. It was getting into shape when we need to. It was, sometimes knocking a ball over the top, but it was smart passing, pulling their players around. I think on Monday Night Football, they highlighted Emile Smith-Rowe. Just the intelligence of the boy. Whenever he would look really passive and look like he's not getting it. And as the ball was coming towards Tierney, mate, he was off and he was running. He was making space, and it was absolutely brilliant. So it was kind of a massive sucker punch when that Git scored the goal that he did. Well, I don't know how anyone else saw the first half, but
yeah, Nick. Talk us through how you saw that first half, and then we'll eventually go on to, that guy scoring the first goal.
Well, that's pretty much like every Arsenal Mourinho game we've had for years. A lot of the time, when we play that, we're just all over them for 30. I think we had like 6 shots to their none. I didn't think they did anything for about 35 minutes until that. And I was watching the first half with my dad. And I just looked at him, he looked at me, and we went, yeah, we know what's coming. You can't, like I said, you can't play that well and not score and expect to, when I say expect to win a game of football, I know we did in the end, but you can't, if you're going to be dominant for 35, 40 minutes of a football match, you've got to be scoring at least 1 or 2 goals when you're that dominant.
Yeah, I completely agree on that point that we were all over them, and for the kind of shots that we had, I think one of the big key things I saw was our kind of players behind the main striker were just popping off more shots. I think we saw it against Olympiacos. I think Smith-Rowe mentioned it in one of the post-match interviews. I can't remember if it's for Olympiacos or for North London Derby, that Arteta's just told them to shoot more. It's like, Dani, all those questions we finally got them in the mailbag. They finally arrived at Highbury House.
Bloody Royal Mail, it's 5 years late. Should we shoot more? they've listened to Should We Defend More, and now 6 months later, the Should We Shoot Mores have turned up.
What they're going to do in 4 years' time when they get a letter saying get rid of Ozil?
I think that one, I send it by carrier pigeon. That one's already, that's there. They've shot it, eaten it, and he's out for the season. You told me an interesting thing about Ozil, Josh, that he's not getting paid for this season at Fenerbahce. Tell the wonderful listeners, that's interesting.
Yeah, Fenerbahce couldn't afford him at all. So he decided to, because he wasn't playing anywhere else, and we told him to Foxtrot Oscar. They said that he's not being paid for this season, and his contract from next season, when he is getting paid, will basically have the money that he should have been paid for this half season in it. So they've basically screwed themselves over with a massive contract that they've just signed Ozil to.
I was going to say, because he's injured for the rest of this season, he's done nothing since he's been there, and now he's not going to be playing again. And so I reckon they'll cancel his contract. They'll go, all Arsenal fans, they'll be burning his shirt and screaming Ozil out, and they'll be off to MLS. They'll take anybody. I think
it's called the DFS sofa deal kind of way of paying for players. So yeah, nothing to pay for the first 6 months. And then they've got to deal with him in massive instalments. But
unlike a sofa, if they don't pay, we don't want it back.
No, they can fly tip it on the A2 sign as far as we're concerned. But, yeah, what did you make of that first half, Dani, as well? Let's just get your thoughts on that. And the Lamela goal.
A Rabona, apparently, according to a couple of cheeky chappies that are on you that did a live show, and they're getting in. What kind of morons are they? I tweeted, has everyone seen that video of those two fucking little scumbags? They're commentating on the game and they've both got all their Spurs gear on, and he keeps taking his headphones off. I was at the Champions League final. My team had gone down to 10 men. We scored a goal against Barcelona. I didn't celebrate like that. They've scored a fluky Rabona where he's taking the piss. Half an inch one way to hit the post, half an inch the other way. Leno would have got a hand to it and then put it against the post, and it'd have gone out. And they're acting like they've just won the Audi Cup again. That's the kind of morons that they've got as fans. That was a fluky goal, and we were on top of it the whole time. And I think that we could see that Mourinho's plan was to do what they did at White Hart Lane this season: the smash and grab. Let us have the ball, and then on the break, run down, score a goal. No. Because Arteta won't be done twice with that trick. You've done it once, you fluked it. It's not happening again. I like the way that we took Son out, and then there's some Arsenal fans going, "How can an Arsenal fan celebrate that Son got injured?" If Son and Kane would have been injured so much they can never play football again, I would have given it a round of. I'd have celebrated like those two kids celebrated. Those fucks would have got injured. I'd have been high-fiving the cat. Oh dear, it's they fluked it like Joshua Page said, fluked it. Oh, Sistemo's there. He's in Russia. Hello. It's a friend of mine. So they fluked it, and then that was the only chance they really had during the game. And Kane was absolutely rubbish. After he realised he wasn't going to score, he just spent the entire time running around trying to injure people, and got away with it because he's England captain, and also he's not that kind of player, is he, Josh? But yeah, I was really happy with it. I enjoyed the whole game. I enjoyed the first half. I thought we played really well, and they were shitting their pants. I think at one point during the game there was 8% of the gamers in our third of the pitch. Just shows how dominant we were. And like a lot of us have been saying, trust the process. Arteta. I mean, didn't you someone put in our group, Josh, about Arteta's record against the big six? Or the top six or whatever it was, because somehow they're including Spurs in that, who have only ever won one League Cup in the last 30 years or whatever. So do you remember what those stats were?
Yeah, I think the other thing that's unfair about playing the top six is every other team gets to play Arsenal. We don't get that privilege. And that's at least 3 points for them. In the last, I mean, it was there. It was an open goal. But since Arteta's come in, I think we've got 10 points against the top six. Top six. We've got 10 points this season against them. And I think last season we only got 9. And I think that's by far and away like our best points haul against the top six, which shows that stuff is changing. We've still got Liverpool to play, and I think that's it in terms of top six sides. Maybe less. No, have we played Leicester or is Leicester?
Played Leicester.
No. It might be United. I think that's the only other one that we might still have of top six sides.
No. We've done United at home and away, I think.
We've got to play Liverpool after West Ham.
Yeah, that was the only one that I could think of.
Okay, I'm going to go and have a look. You do some more whistling. We have got home. There you go. I found it. Home to Liverpool. Do Everton count as top ones? I think possibly they do.
No.
We've got to play them at home. Chelsea away on the 12th of May, and that's it. I mean, our end running at the end of the season: Sheffield United, Fulham, Everton, Newcastle, West Brom, Palace, Brighton, with Chelsea mixed in with there. We should win every single one of those. It's back on, Josh.
Oh, absolutely. I think looking back into it, it's amazing what happens if what one win will do, or 2 wins in a week. But let's talk about Martin Odegaard's second goal of the week. First one up in the league. Dani.
Podcast.
There we go. As I said at the start of the show, Mr. Norway man, he kicked ball good.
He done kicked ball good. Comes to this country, can't even speak the language. Talk about myself there because I no longer know how to construct a sentence in English. It's that is the kind of player we have been looking for. we saw with Ozil that he could do the passing and the assisting and maybe the odd goal. Nothing spectacular that often, unless we're playing some team that we've never heard of from the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where Ludogorets are from, but apparently that was peak Ozil for us lot. And then we've seen that Ramsey could do it, but he's always going to get injured. But when Ramsey tried to track back a little bit, he always struggled because he'd end up doing too much work. We saw with Sanchez, he would run back, get the ball off the keeper. But Odegaard, because now we've got a decent midfield of Partey, who was a little bit quiet, and Xhaka was looking. And Xhaka's stats for that game were brilliant. So the next game is going to be shit because it's either one game good, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit with Xhaka. And luckily the NLD was sometimes maybe bloody good, and so he didn't have to go back and do much stuff, and he could just do what made him look great. Like somebody put in the chat that. With Aubameyang not playing, it was Smith Rowe that came in and took his position on the left of the midfield three. But then we saw with like we've seen so many times this season, you got Smith Rowe, Saka, and Odegaard, or whoever is playing in that position. All those players can swap sides. Even Pepe can come in and swap sides, and that makes it so hard for all the players that are defending against us. And we just did that again. It was like the old days. We'd have Perez and Ljungberg. Wenger would swap, and then they just go and swap. I don't think he ever shouted swap. That's a little bit too obvious, but it was along them lines, and it's just brilliant to see because they're making room for each other. They're creating chances for each other. And when you're defending against that, with Cedric playing at right back, we've actually been able to run back, defend, attack, and cross and do everything. What a player! I've been saying since day one how good Cedric is. But we're bombarding them, Josh, from every position. It's like being at the Somme again. You don't know where you're going to get hit from. It's coming in from every angle. Oh, it's a Bukayo fest.
Wow. Wow. You've really swallowed the. No, you've really had the encyclopedia of metaphors open this week, haven't you?
Talking of that, my mum gave me 50 quid to give to Sian last time she was down a month ago, and so I bank transferred it to Sian with the title Bukayo Lessons.
Holy crap!
Wow. Do you need? Actually, no. I'm not even going to ask about. Do you need lessons for Bukayo? I think we just swiftly move on.
I think it's a type of raw fish, isn't it?
I think so. I think that's what I've been told. Something to do with. I don't know. Won't even go there.
Move on.
Let's down. I think we should move on.
You might have to make this a Bergkamp Wonderland After Dark episode, maybe.
Oh. I'm going to put myself on mute. I'm sorry. I'm going to sit in the corner for 3 minutes.
Yeah, think about what you've done. Well, let's just go into the second half because I think it's the best thing we can do at the moment. Is just ignore everything else that Dani said. So, what do we think about? Actually, Luke Howard has said Odegaard. I believe, and Dani could probably correct me, that Martin Odegaard's middle name is Odin. I'm 90% sure that his middle name is Odin, but Dani will do this and come back in instead of Odegaard. But anyway, Rich, we'll go into the second half. I've got to try and remember which way round they come. Let's talk about the penalty first. Penalty or not a penalty? Let's just, on the scale of Jermaine Gina's saltiness to sane human being, was it a penalty?
It was, even if it wasn't a penalty, just the fact that it elicited the response of Jermaine Genius throwing all his toys out of the pram. It's a bit good enough. I say yes, it's a penalty. I in a way get a few of the things about the fact that he completely whiffed his shot, Lacazette. But Sanchez cleaned him out. You can't clatter into someone in the penalty. If he got the shot off and he hit the shot, it doesn't matter whether or not you touch the ball or not. If you take someone out in the penalty area or anywhere on the field, it's a foul. So I couldn't see what the issue. Like if that was the other way round, I normally put the barometer on of if it was the other way round. So if that penalty went against Arsenal, would I have been upset about it? Would I have been up in arms? And I don't think I would have done. I would have been cursing the Mustafi or Luiz, who would have, because they're the two most likely, I would imagine, of making such a challenge. I would have been more annoyed at them because it was reckless and it was he wasn't in control of his body, and he clatters into Lacazette. I can't see. The ball was still on the pitch, so the ball was still in play. For me, it was a pen. I don't know about you.
Oh, it was just like seeing. For me, Sanchez is. I've got to get this right. He's from Colombia, so he's the Colombian Mustafi. He's so reckless. It was inevitable, and of course it's a penalty. Nick, did you watch Match of the Day? Did you watch the meltdown from
I thought that was hilarious, especially Martin Kieran just grinning at him, laughing at him. But and I've seen some of the reactions to it, like the Ref Watch on Sky, and they say, "Oh, because Lacazette fluffed his shot into the ground, it's somehow all Lacazette's fault." I'm like, well, no, he jumped and pretty much kung fu kicked him straight into his leg. There was no, the ball wasn't there, so there wasn't no attempt to play the ball. And I see what he was trying to do, which is happening for years. Basically, as someone is shooting or just get the shot away, and this has been going on for like probably 20, 30 years, for some reason, defenders get away with just clattering people. If you can go back and watch pretty much every one of Thierry Henry's goals when he used to swing out to the left, cut in, after he'd get the shot, it'd just be completely wiped out. And the ref isn't going to say, oh, he scored, but I'll bring it back for a penalty because that's what he's done. So for some reason, they class that as a free hit. But
that's what Tony Adams always used to call it, didn't he?
Yeah,
Tony Adams used to call it a free one.
Yeah, and that's what he tried to do. And because Lacazette messed up and hit it in, it's a difficult, to take that on a volley with his wrong foot. That could have happened. And basically, he was just trying to wipe him out either as he was shooting, just do enough to put him off. And because Lacazette messed it up, he just went straight through the man. And I just can't see how a lot of these referees are saying, oh, because he mishit the ball, it's not a penalty. What is that? The ball hasn't got to do... The ball isn't anything to do with whether it's a foul or a penalty or not. If the ball's not even there, that's even worse, isn't it? And then we see some of the penalties and we get told it swings and roundabouts. Last month, we get David Luiz gets a penalty given against him and sent off. He didn't even swing a leg at him. And he gets, a match ban for that. And this bloke, the stills that are going around on Twitter and our WhatsApp group, you could see he's literally Bruce Lee kung fu kicking him in the air. So that's more, if anything, I'm a bit upset that wasn't a red card.
Yeah, I can see why a yellow was given for it in general. But yeah, I can say with you, it is dangerous play. He's definitely not in control of what he's doing when he flies in for that. And anybody who says that Lacazette kicked Sanchez has got rocks in their head and shit in their eyes.
You could actually see what the referee said. He said that was reckless and out of control. You could actually read his lips. He said it's reckless, so that's a foul.
Yeah, and I think we can move on from it. Lacazette puts it away, and then I think I want to say is then the next. I think these are controversial purely because people have mainly because Jermaine Genius has cried about it for so long. It is now a controversial decision. Eric Lamella's flailing arms. Dani, second yellow for you?
Yeah, he should have had maybe another 1 or 2 yellows during the game as well. He's an absolute liability. He's the last player left at the club from the Gareth Bale money because they went and spunk that on about 7 players, most of which they ended up letting go for bugger all. And now Bale's back at the club and doing bugger all himself as well when it matters. He can only score. It's like they've got that Vinicius bloke who scores from a 1-inch tap, another useless player they've got. But he's a liability. He at times went full Mustafi, Xhaka, Kolasinac at times. And they think, because he's not playing in Italy now, son. You're rubbish. You've fluked a goal. But I don't know. Did you think this pass was showing up? We've moved over that, and now you thought, here you go. I'm the big boy now. I'm going to run around the pitch, do whatever I want because I've got I scored a shit goal that they're going to go on about for a while, and then acted like a twat. And I'm surprised if that had been Arteta or any decent manager, you'd have looked at that and gone, "No, we're going to have to take him off because this bloke's a liability and he's going to get another yellow." And yeah, should have had 3 yellows that game. But I think on whole, the referee did manage the game quite well, which I always think that in an North London derby, you do need a referee that is going to be decent. And if anything, I'd say we got the rub of the green at times. I'm not sure what green they were rubbing, but they rubbed it well.
Normally the green and money. What? I didn't say that.
It's corruption.
Didn't say that. Yeah, and I think it worked out quite well for us. But yeah, as you say, if you don't send, if Eric Lamela makes it through a match without getting a booking or a red card, the referee's had a poor game because the guy is a snide little bastard. And sometimes we've asked for wanting a player a bit like that, but this was just all, just out to kick people for no reason. Rich, what did you reckon? Red cards, second yellow?
Oh yeah, mate. I said I wanted he should have had about 3 yellow cards beforehand because he kicked Xhaka, he kicked out a Partey, and I think he did the same to David Luiz. I was normally because my wife's a Spurs fan. I do apologise. Because the wife's a Spurs fan, let's say if we're watching the game together, kind of thing, neither of us kind of go OTT. We kind of respectfully will watch the game without getting in each other's face too much, kind of thing. Because she, bless her, I love her to bits. She can't take it. She gets very, very salty, very, very Jermaine Genius about it all. And normally I'm quite reserved. I don't really jump around and especially not in my bloody own house. I was fucking spitting blood with that guy. I cannot stand him. He's a rat of a footballer. He's snide, he's narky, and he's not even careful about it. I think I saw a thing that said it was like his first ever red card. How is that guy not been sent off more? He was an absolute liability for them. I'm almost kind of glad he was on the pitch. Yes, he scored like a great goal kind of thing, blah blah blah, but he was an absolute liability, giving away fouls that he should never have given them away, kicking out, starting, riling up players, but not even like to lose their head. Like he's the one losing his head. He's too emotionally involved, and he's a nasty piece of work. I can't stand him as a footballer. He might be a nice enough guy in person. I don't really care, but oh my god, that was the major thing throughout the game that I actually got out of my seat and I was cursing the ref because I thought, as Danny said, I thought the ref had a decent game. Let Højbjerg get away with one too many fouls. Kind of thing, but completely deserved his yellow cards. The first one, I know, like, because I think Jermaine Genius tried to say that the first yellow card wasn't a yellow card. Not only did he come in from behind and take the Partey, he's got his other leg, sweeps out Partey. How is that not a yellow card? And in the second one, whether you're trying to defend and shield the ball, that's all well and good. You can't put your hands in a player's face. It deserved yellow cards.
Yeah, I think on the post game show that we did with Chris and John, not Chris, Carl and John. Sorry. What was it? No, it was Carl and Chris.
Easy to confuse those two.
Carl and Chris. It was John that was in there for no reason. It's because he's missing today.
Bless him.
So Nick, Carl said on the show that he was surprised it wasn't a straight red for Lamela's elbow in the face of Tierney. Do you sit with that as well? I've certainly got a tinfoil hat theory of why he only gave a yellow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking if he'd have gave a red, that maybe VAR would have tried to overrule it or something. But, I mean, you could see, that's why I really want refs to be, even though Mike Riley says we're 7 years away from the technology so we can hear the refs' mics. I was like, well, no, we're not. Yeah, absolutely not. I'm quite good at reading lips because I'm partial of hearing, so I've been learning that and doing that a bit naturally over the years. The first one, like I said, it's a tackle from behind, like a scissor tackle from behind. And you could just tell he was sick of him by then. He's like, you're just going, you're doing my head in, mate. I've let you off a couple and you just keep doing it. And yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anyone get slapped in the face and only get booked, but at least they can't appeal it.
Yeah, I think, honestly, you have stumbled across my tinfoil hat theory that Michael Oliver only gave a yellow because, one, he didn't want VAR dealing with it because VAR wouldn't look at a yellow being overturned. And secondly, is because, he was just managing the game and he was like, this guy needs to be off the field. I don't care. I'm not having somebody tell me that he shouldn't be on the field anymore because, as you said, Rich has mentioned as well, the guy was going around just kicking people up in the air or just stabbing people in the back. He had no room to be on the football pitch and no right to be there.
So I don't think he's been sent off again, but I think he was one of the big instigators. A few years ago when Spurs bottled it when they were chasing Leicester and finished behind us, and it all kicked off at Chelsea. I think he was one of the main instigators for that. I think he got retrospectively banned, so technically didn't get a red card on the pitch, but I think he did get retrospectively banned for his part in that. I think he slapped someone twice, I think.
Yeah,
didn't he also get like Martial sent off in the United game as well?
Yeah, he is good at riling people up, but I think we're street smart now. Xhaka's kind of learnt to not get riled by those kind of players anymore, and I think after another one to put onto the lists, Eric Dyer, and what we've seen him do in North London derbies, or even just when he's a bit bored and decides to go for a wander in the crowd to go have a bit of fisticuffs. He's certainly.
I think it's also game states as well, because I think if we were chasing the game, his antics may have pissed us off and we would have retaliated and maybe done something stupid. But because we were in the ascendancy and we were winning, we were absolutely dominant, and it was them lot who were desperate and chasing the game. I think we would just brush it off as if it's like a fly kind of thing, like a gnat bothering us.
Yeah, and I think he's gone, and we can kind of move on. But after they went down to 10 men, we kind of lost all control. Dani, that was the worst 10 minutes of football I think we've seen played all season from us. What the hell went on?
Why would you say that? The worst?
We just had. Yeah,
that's quite a lot to be worse than.
I would say we had no control of the game then. We were playing against a man less, and we, as much as we hate him, they've still got quite a talented striker up front who should and could have punished us.
Is that the offside goal? The header that was offside?
Yeah, we got the offside goal, and then
another one hit the post.
Yeah, the 3 free kicks we then gave them straight off the bat.
Without knowing anything about it, I'd assume that it's because when you're trying that hard all the way through the game and you finally get to be 2-1 up after being down in the game, you really are going to have to take a breather at some time. We've seen that's how they beat us when we played them last time. They let us have the ball, we run ourselves ragged, and then when we were breathing out of our asses, they got us on the counter-attack twice. And that's what they tried to do again. And I think we were just going, because it wouldn't be the first time this season that we've come back from losing. I think the Spurs have got the record this season of losing the most number of points from winning positions. I think it's 45. I read a tweet or something like that. But you just think, well, I don't really blame them because they worked so hard to get back into the game. And then we were so lucky with that goal being offside with the header. And you've got to be panicking. Like I think someone just put in there, said we were panic. Yeah, we were panicking. Because you can't run 90 minutes flat out like that, which is why we made the substitutions, and they were decent substitutions, sensible ones, which helped solidify the game. But I wouldn't say that was the worst football we've played all season. I was worried. I mean, I'm sure that maybe you only felt that way because we were beating the scum, and they looked at times like they could have come back in. Do you reckon that maybe highlighted or heightened it?
Absolutely, I think absolutely that was into it because we deserved to win, and they did not deserve anything from that game. They deserved nothing from it, and it looked like we were gonna give it to them. I kind of mentioned his name already, But should we talk? I'll come to you, Rich, first on this. Harry Kane versus the entirety of our defence, and the. I know he's a big fan of NFL, but you should probably keep that kind of tackling to it, right? With the challenge on Gabriel.
That was a nasty one, wasn't it? It was really. That was another one that I was absolutely up in arms about. He's a devastatingly good striker. He's a phenomenal player, but what a horrible, horrible player he is as well. At the same breath, just the dirty snide fouls, the dives and stuff like that. And that's not even me being bitter, because I can. I know it's not a thing to praise them for anyone who plays for them up the road, but you'd be either having a laugh or really, really blinded to say that he's not a phenomenal striker, that he's not a phenomenal player. But it annoys me that the dirty side of his game, the constant bumping into people, the constant drop into the floor, like initiating contact, drop into the floor. And that was really, really bad, that shoulder charge against Gabriel. And do they still do the if it's not in the match report, can you still be retroactively charged?
Yeah, if they don't see it, yeah. The ref says that the ref doesn't put it in the match report, it didn't happen.
Not if he's England captain, you can't. That's one of the rules.
That's the other bit.
That was so bad. It was late. He in no way, shape or form tried to play the ball, and he shoulders him, and it's like head height that he catches it. Like, if that happened, not being funny, if that happens in rugby, right, that's a red card. The ball's it's nasty. Even like say in the slow motion when you see Gabriel's head snap back, it's a vile challenge. It's really, really nasty. And
they dislocated his shoulder there.
It's really, really bad. And I'm astounded. I know he's the England captain and all that sort of stuff. I am astounded that no sports media outlets have picked up on that at all.
Why would they? They've let him get away with the jumping up in the air and deliberately falling over players and then injuring players and all the other shit that he gets up to. It's just the Alan Shearer scenario all over again. Dirty, cheating fucker who's England captain, does fuck all on the pitch. Shearer in 16 games for England without a goal. It's just the FA. As we hinted earlier, they may or may not be corrupt. If you're England captain, you're going to get away with whatever the fuck you want.
Refresh people's memory for what he said back then in the 90s with the old Scotland manager, Neil Lennon, when he was going to get retrospectively banned. If you Google that, off the ball, he just turned around and booted someone in the face and knocked him clean out. And he said, if you're going to ban me for playing, in the league, I'm going to have to not be able to play for England. So they just didn't bother and let him. Then they just bottled it and let him carry on. And that was assault. He should have been arrested for that.
Like John puts here, not even a mention about it after the game on Match of the Day. Are we surprised much? Just look at what they did after Lacazette got injured in the last game, and he went down and screamed, and they all rolled around on the floor after Match of the Day, the closing credits of Match of the Day. I think it was Shearer and Lineker dived to the floor off their chairs, and Ian Wright just sat in his chair pretending to dive a little bit. But yet they won't do anything for Harry Kane. That's why people don't watch Match of the Day, because you're biased fucks. You can go. I can't remember even the last time I watched it. That's why when I don't watch the game, I haven't seen it because I refuse to watch those fucks on Match of the Day. And even Wright is getting on my fucking nerves because he should be on our side over this, but he won't.
But I was surprised they didn't even mention it on Monday Night Football, where they did like Match of the Day. It's a much shorter format, and I've heard that they don't even the pundits and that don't even pick out the clips and replays that they show. It's all predetermined for them kind of thing.
I thought they used to though, didn't they?
Oh, I've read somewhere that they don't.
Oh, now I don't know now.
But they did a massive analysis and they had Thierry in the studio. Had a massive analysis on Monday night thing with the game, and again they didn't show it. And I feel like fucking Mugatu in Zoolander. Am I on crazy pills here or something? What is like? Why can nobody see what this guy does? Maybe it is just the fact that he's English, and like, you know, if his name was Mohamed or Diego, then, you know, the media outlets would jump all over it. But it fucking baffles my mind the amount of shit that boy gets away with. His whole, like, 90% of his game is cheating. He's either bumping into other players, he's either taking them out of the air, dangerously taking them out of the air. And like there's like a compilation doing the rounds of like 4 different times that he's done that, where he looks at the player jumping, backs into them, and then, you know, falls like he's a marionette puppet that's had its strings cut.
It's so dangerous, because sometimes
it's so dangerous.
Break a collarbone.
Because you can't control, once you're in the air, you have very little control of how you land. Again, I don't want to keep going back and talking about the egg chasing, but you do that in rugby, it is a straight red card. It is your responsibility to for your care of the player that you are tackling. And I would imagine it should be the same in football. You shouldn't be able to do that and get away with it, but seemingly he does. I'm going, seem like I'm going around in circles here and just ranting for the sake of ranting, but it really, really pisses me off with that guy. It really, really does.
Yeah, there were so many parts to his game that were just irritating, frustrating. And, you know, the only reason he was doing that on Gabriel was to injure him, because he'd knocked him out of the game. I don't think we saw anything from Kane until that last 5 minutes, because I think the work that Gabriel and David Luiz did, they were superb at the back for us, I think. And Gabriel with the last minute header, not off the line, but certainly it's a match saving header and clearance for us. I think he was superb during that entire game. But we'll move on from the North London derby and look towards our next couple of fixtures.
Before you do, Josh, could I just say, super flies, but Kane will get hauled off in a major competition. He won't get away with this in the World Cup, will he? Any of that bullshit.
He'll be off in the Euros. He'll Wayne Rooney it. Cristiano Ronaldo will know, right, got something on him. Yeah, he will cost England a title, and it will be in the Euros. It will be in the semi-finals. And he'll go and get someone. He'll injure someone and he'll be out. And hopefully he gets vilified and people absolutely castigate him for it. Yeah, like Beckham, like Rooney did. I think he's got that in his locker and it's going to happen. And personally, I wouldn't have him in an England squad. Even though he is a phenomenal player, I wouldn't be starting him, because there's better players than that. I'd have a different starting or forward line than have that guy up front. But anyway, yes.
You've got the name on the back of your England shirt, though, haven't you?
Oh,
dirty boy.
I haven't got any names on the back of my England shirt.
Okay.
How dare you? How dare you?
Sorry. I'm going to mute myself again.
If I would, I'd get Welbeck. But that's not going to happen. We've got, let's go to the next kind of fixtures coming on. We've got Olympiacos, this time at home, and this time it's not in Greece. It is at the Emirates. And West Ham, I can't remember where that is. It's either at our place or in the wherever they play now, somewhere in Stretford.
Yeah, it's going to be one or the other.
It's 50-50 chance, isn't it?
Oh, dear.
Wow, you're either going to win, lose, or draw. That's what I can definitely tell you for sure. Rich, how do you feel about coming into these next couple of fixtures? West Ham seems like a banana skin for me. How would you think?
Yeah. Well, at least Aubameyang's going to be rested for the for the Olympiacos game. It's amazing what confidence can do for a team and your outlook and stuff like that, and what 2 wins in a week can do. I don't see any problem with us playing Olympiacos and steamrolling over them. I thought they were very, very poor, and we've got the 3 away goals as well. West Ham have been very, very well. They're much better than us this season. I think they're maybe punching a little bit above their weight, kind of thing. I still think I've got confidence in this team. The green shoots that we've been coming up with. Odegaard seems to be getting better with each game. Pepe seems to be coming into form as well. His if you want to not call it assist, but his pass for the penalty was phenomenal pass. So we're in decent form, and I'm liking what we're doing. So I can't see any reason why we can't get a victory over West Ham. What are you showing us there, Dani? What is that? Is that the league table?
That is the league table. It currently shows West Ham in 5th. They have played 28. They have won 14. They have 48 points. I was going to say 48 goals. That's not right. And then the Arsenal, are 10th currently, 28 games played, 12 wins, and 41 points.
Yeah, I think we can do so, especially if he tries to do what he did against Man United, kind of thing. I think we can. I think we can do something against them. I don't know what do you guys reckon?
Yeah, Nick, have you got anything? What do you reckon for the next couple of games?
Well, that depends. I suppose the Olympiacos game, that should be done and dusted, hopefully, by half-time. And I thought that was Monday night football game, but I think I looked on there, apparently it's Sunday, but I thought it was Monday night football. But let's see, West Ham, they're one of these sides that seem to have a better away record than home record. I mean, this league's been completely flipped this season, whereas usually you've got 15, 16 teams in the league have got brilliant home records compared to their away, and this one is completely, the other way. But West Ham, they're an oddity. They're not like really good up front and really crap in defence, or vice versa. They're just a good team all round, which I don't like, because I don't like West Ham very much. But yeah, they're just a solid side. They've got like 6 out of 10s in every position. They don't seem to have many, people that are nutters like they have in the past. But yeah, hopefully, I think we'll turn up and do them, to be honest. I think we'll do them easy, 3 or 4.
Nice. Good confidence ahead of that one. Dani, anything on the next 2 games, or should we move into the loan squad update?
The only thing I say on a West Ham game is it's going to be hard because there's no pressure on them. They could lose every game for the rest of the season and still their fans will be happy. There's no fans moaning because they hate the stadium and the fans hate going there, and that's immediately puts the fans in a bad mood. And there's no pressure. They're only playing 1 game a week, as we saw with so many teams in previous seasons. If you have a decent manager who's experienced, a decent set of players, you don't have to have anyone magnificent, and then you can go on a decent run. But yeah, I think I'd be happy with a draw there. But like someone was saying, if we play the right players, I think Unknown Gamer was saying if we start Pepe and then we just turn them inside out of pace, because I think the only really decent player they've got there is Declan Rice. Other than that,
Souček's a very good player.
Oh, the big bloke up front.
No, midfielder.
Midfield guy.
Yeah, midfielder. He scored most of their goals, but yeah, he's.
No, that's why I thought he was a striker. I'm done.
Yeah, midfielder. Cool. Let's move into the loan squad, because I think Dani came up with an interesting stat pre-pod about how many of our loners. Anyway, people go out on loan are potentially getting relegated this season. I know. I think Arsenal are just about clear now that we're on 41 points after the win. But no, we're going to talk about the rest of the squad. So, Dani, do you want to give us a quick rundown?
Well, Joe Willock is on loan at Newcastle. If you listen to the Loan Watch that I do every Monday, it's on YouTube and all the places you can listen on the toilet or in the bath or wherever you do. But yeah, Joe Willock, Newcastle look like they could go down because it only takes Fulham on a bit of a run. They get a few more points. Newcastle carry on the way they're going. Newcastle are going down. That's one. Maitland-Niles going down with West Brom. That's a dead cert fact. Guendouzi's Hertha Berlin, and now there's 2 go down in Germany. And then the place above them get into the playoffs with the team in the division below. And so they look like they're going to drop down. That's 3. Kolasinac, Schalke, thanks Josh, are definitely down. That's 4. Cardiff, who else is Southend? Southend are about to drop out of the league. That's 5. That's if they do have relegation there. And the one below that is Zek Medley at Kilmarnock. They are bottom of the Scottish League. 6 players could all possibly get relegated. Is that an award?
It might be. Matt Smith has obviously just lost his manager as well recently.
Charlton has had their manager?
No, Charlton. What was it? Lee Bowyer has gone to Birmingham.
I heard
After they sacked Karanka. Bowyer then, last I read anyway, has decided to leave Charlton, and he's gone to with the view to going to Birmingham. I would imagine someone we saw in the studio on Monday Night Football might be eyeing up that Charlton Athletic job whilst he was potentially homesick. He was homesick. Well, it's not Jamie Redknapp, and it wasn't Jamie Carragher, so it's going to only be an ex-Arsenal striker who came back from Montreal after not seeing his family for a year.
He's not going to go to bloody Charlton, is he?
Might do. Wants a job. It's in London. It's available.
They're in the promotion place. Come on here. We pay good rates, don't we?
Oh, I mean,
it's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, we will. If I don't know what Thierry's tipple of choice is, but if he wants a packet of jammy Dodgers, he could get you. Who knows? Maybe 2 packs. Some
fried scampi.
Jeff has done a run-up with the podcast biscuits. We've not seen him since October. I think he's left the country with the biscuits. So that's all that was in the ABW cookie jar, although they're called biscuits, not cookies. Does anyone else care about the loans? Is anyone worried about why? The only players here that are doing well is Mavropanos doing brilliant at Stuttgart. Saliba is next level at France. There again, as we all know, Josh, it's Farmers League. Ballard is playing regularly for Blackpool and getting really good ratings, but that's a 3rd tier of English football. Harry Clark is doing all right, but he's back at Arsenal at the moment with an injury. So
McGuinness was doing all right at Ipswich, from what I've heard. He's been playing all right. Ben Sheaf, I think, is going to Coventry on a permanent after this anyway, because I think his contract's up. And it's obviously 2-2. Isn't he injured for the rest of the season?
Injured for about 20 games. So is Tyrese. But it's just Torreira very rarely even gets a game, and Guendouzi. I mean, didn't you say before the show or during this? I can't remember. My timeline is much like a fucked up episode of The Next Generation. I don't know which timeline I'm in, but isn't he? Did he say he fell out with the manager and had to go at the captain recently?
Oh, that was months ago that he did that. But yeah, he had to go at the manager and had to go at the captain, and then didn't play for a bit. And I think now. Well, we'll go on to what's happening with old Sideshow Bob in the question section.
So the only 2 players we got there that are going to come back with any kind of, they've done well, Mavropanos and Saliba. And what don't we need at the club at the moment? Centre-backs. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'll have a look and see what Joe Willock's doing, because I'll be interested with him at Newcastle, because Callum Wilson's out for a while. Maximan's out injured. Almiron's out. Yeah, Almiron's out.
He played his first game there. He played right wing and got an 8.2 and scored a goal and was magnificent. The rest of the game, central midfield, barely getting low 7s, high 6s. And someone did a compilation of his passes on YouTube as they did, and it actually looked pretty good. Some decent tracking back and passing and doing everything. But yeah, it's weird that he's gone. Yeah. Gone.
I think that's a good move for him, to be honest, at Newcastle.
Yeah,
I think it's the kind of getting loads of games. He's playing in a side that doesn't attack that often, but he will be given that kind of reign to, go forward into attack, but also have to show his defensive part of his game, because you know what Steve Bruce's side is like. They're just going to sit back. And yeah, I think for me, it's a good move for Willock. I can't say the same for Maitland-Niles. I think he's an absolute idiot for going to West Brom. Purely because
he could have gone to Southampton, couldn't he?
He could have gone to Southampton easily. And yeah, just tried a bit. But obviously he wants to try and get into the England squad for the Euros.
That won't be happening. But we're looking at the league table and seeing where Newcastle and Fulham are next playing. Fulham are at home to Leeds, which they could get some points there. And so that is Friday night.
Newcastle play Brighton. Newcastle play Brighton at the weekend.
Are they home or away? Away at Brighton,
away.
Yeah. So that I would be surprised if Newcastle end up in a relegation zone, and then Newcastle are going to have to go, we either get rid of Bruce or we go down.
Yeah,
because they've
really
got some
close between
players there.
Yeah, definitely. So, Dani, I'm going to hand back over to you, as you always try to give it away to me, for the questions.
Excellent.
We almost need like a little ditty to go in between that.
Dear. Right. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat and I'll read them as I go along. But the first one is from Christian Anderson and his cows. He says, why is Tierney not our captain? Now that the fool who never should have been captain in the first place can't be asked to show up on time. It's very good English, Christian. You speak better English than I do. Why do you think it's Lacazette? I take it Lacazette was captain on Saturday. What Sunday was he? I can't remember who was captain.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was Lacazette.
So why do you think it's Lacazette? Purely a matter of time at the club. I know a modern day captain isn't necessarily what it was in the old days, but guys like Tierney is what we should model the club after. So Josh, do you think making Lacazette captain was the best idea? And although he did, when Lacazette went off, he gave the armband to Tierney, didn't he? So that was the first time he was Arsenal captain, was in a North London derby. It's not a bad way to start your captain's career. What do you think to that?
No. I would say it's underselling Lacazette's ability as a captain. He was captain of Lyon and for his duration there. And I think he was also captain Lyon then in one of the fiercest derbies in France. So he knows what he's doing in that sense of the time. I think Tierney is a case of, he hasn't been at the club for so long. I think if Hector Bellerin's on the field, that's where the armband goes as well. And I do understand, like, on the pitch, I think Tierney is like a perfect model for what we should be doing as Arsenal. But for me, the classiest, most Arsenal player at Arsenal Football Club right now is Hector Bellerin, and that's where I'd be looking to move the captaincy if we took it from Aubameyang. He's got a second most minutes, hasn't he, of all season for any outfield player?
He's done, though. Arteta has seen the Portuguese light.
I still think there's room for both of them in the squad. But
Zorro is the man now.
We can totally have a captain that doesn't play football games. We've had it before, and we can do it again. Exactly.
Okay. Right, Nick. Question from Matt L. Roberts. Out of the academy, Richard. From Matt L. Roberts, see, I do read the tweets. Out of the academy, who would you look forward to seeing next season? And a bonus question, can be for you, Nick. What do we do with Gwen Jonesy? So Richard first.
So the player that are from the academy that I'm most looking for, just honourable mention to is it Ben Cottrell. Whenever I've seen him play, I've thought he looks way beyond his years.
Bad injury.
He's injured. Yeah, he just had surgery or something, didn't he?
Yeah, I saw the tweet.
But the one that I think has got the most promise and I really, really like the look of is I know it's a fairly obvious one, is Miguel Aziz. I know he made his proper debut in one of the Europa League rubber games, but I think he's got so much upside. He seems so calm in possession. He seems big and physical, and looks like he can really take care of the ball. So, like I said, I mean, I've only seen a couple of academy under 23 games. And obviously his performance in the Europa League, but he really does. Every time I've seen him, and it hasn't been a massive sample size, I will agree, but he looks very impressive, and he looks let's say above his years that he's playing. He looks very, very promising. I like the look of him. I like his stature. He's a big lad. I think he's like 5'11" or something like that. But he's proper built as well. And he, like I say, he's so calm under pressure. So he would be my pick for the academy starlet for next season.
When you were describing him as big and strong, I had Sunita's song playing in my head.
Right.
There you go.
That's what so macho. Is that one?
That's
That
it.
song?
That's the one. Josh, what have you done to your camera? Has it gone low
I
res?
dropped the definition on it. Yeah, I dropped it to low res because I was getting a bit. It was getting a bit choppy from various different streams, and I didn't want to assume that my internet would go down. It'd be left again.
That's forever the pro. Nick, do you remember the question?
What, Guendouzi?
Oh, I thought you were asleep. I'm sorry keeping you up.
Yeah. What do we do with him?
Yeah.
Well, when he comes back, we're just going to have to send someone just to talk to him and just give him a reality check and smack the shit out of him, really, because he's a good player and he's ruining his career. You know, we've had, not just Arsenal, like with Bentner and you've had Balotelli, just been so naturally gifted and they've just been absolute bellends and ruined their career. I mean, yeah, they might have a few million in the bank, but, I was going through Bentner's book and stuff. That's probably the same with him. He's just been told at such a young age how brilliant he is. He's better than everyone else because he probably was playing against, kids he was way better than. And now he's jumped up to playing with the big boys. He's still got that same attitude. So if they can knock that out of him, then, there is a player there and they either will or they won't because... I honestly think like Bentner's probably, Arsenal's best striker talent-wise we've had since we've been at the Emirates. But he just completely wasted everything. And I'd put him up against Lacazette, Aubameyang, even Van Persie. If he wanted it, he could do everything. But you should read his book if you can get it cheap out of Poundland soon. But the stuff he got up to, you think, wow. You absolute moron. How did you have all that, in your hand and you just threw it all away because you fancied yourself? I mean, he does say that in the book. He realises now at like 33, 34 what he did. That's too late now for him.
It is a shame because he was right up there with Podolski with the giving it large to the away fans and fucking up everyone who come up with him. If you're watching Mr. Bentner or anybody in Denmark knows him, I'd love him to come on the pod and he can say shit and bug out as much as he wants and swear all the way because, I remember that game, Josh, and you're all old men now, that game where he's played up front with Arshavin for 3 or 4 games in a row and between the pair of them, they were fantastic. But then Wenger had a big part in ruining his career by playing him out wide left. You can't do that. He did it to Podolski, Arshavin, Bentner. That seems to be the decent players' graveyard, Josh.
Well, I would have got. I don't know. It sounds strange. Although back then, I'd have bought Christian Eriksen at the time when he was available out of Ajax because they had such a great combination for the national side that it seemed the player to unlock Bentner was to have Eriksen in behind him in the number 10. And yeah, I think that could have been us for a few seasons. But yeah, on Guendouzi as well, I think it certainly doesn't help when a former technical director for Arsenal Football Club, now at Stuttgart, keeps telling him that he's still amazing. Old Svenny boy. If you love him so much, give us £60 million and you can have him at Stuttgart when they go up this season.
Yes. While I got you, question for you from Anthony Lawani. Is the Cedric signing no longer seen as an Edu favour to Kia? Because these turned out to be probably one of our best free transfers ever.
I think if you were a twat on Twitter that thought that it was a dodgy dealing because you thought that Cedric was past it, then yeah, maybe you're changing your tune. But I think there were a lot of us who knew Cedric at Southampton, had seen him for the national side, that knew that this was a shrewd signing. And irrespective of who may or may not have represented him during the transfer, shrewd signing. Same for Pablo Mari, shrewd signing. It's not our fault that not every single name comes in as a jazzy one that you'd want. We didn't bring in Hakimi or Sergio Dest or anyone else at right back, and we brought in Cedric on a free. That's what we kind of need. Smart recruitment. And that's what it was. It was nothing more than smart recruitment, but some people couldn't get past their thick thick skulls, what they were really seeing, and just decided it was all fucked.
Fair enough. Right. This one for everybody. Alfredo from Twitter says, rank the most hateable Premier League managers of all time. How high does Jose land? So while you lot are picking your top 3 most hated, I'm going to say I don't hate Jose at all. I think he plays the game. He is much like Triple H. He plays the game. He plays it well, and was one of the best managers in 21st century or 20th century. I suppose it would be 21st century, wouldn't it? Football. And he does it, and he's not going to do it anymore. And we will see when Man City smash Spurs in the League Cup final coming up soon, that he's going to win nothing for these, and then all the money they've spent on him, and they're going to have to get rid of him, and it's going to be hilarious because it's going to bankrupt them. But the manager I hate the most ever, Alex Ferguson, didn't really like him as a person, didn't like the fact that he cost Arsenal so many titles, and that he had all the refs in his pocket. Fergie time, people. You look at the game against Sheffield Wednesday. They were losing 1-0 at home, I think, and then they were losing by a goal at home, and then the referee played something like 7 minutes of Fergie time until Man United scored 2 extra goals and then went on to win the league. So anyone got a manager they hate the most, or a couple? Just let me know, just shout.
Yeah, well, to say you hate them, that doesn't mean you don't respect them, for their job they do. Yeah, well, I mean, let's say Mourinho, because he's just a twat and always makes it about him and then blames the players. But, I mean, it's similar with Ferguson, because there's something he did years ago which really rankled me, and it was off the pitch, where I think it was 2003 when we drew against Leeds or something, so they won the league. And as soon as full-time whistle went, the TV coverage of the game went to Sir Alex Ferguson in his house, drinking champagne, laughing with cameras on him. I'm like, well, so you sat there waiting for Arsenal to mess up, so you won the league. But if we'd have won that game, you were still going to be sat there with Sky cameras pointed at you with a bottle of champagne ready. I'm like, no, you don't celebrate other people losing like that. That's I just thought that was, lacked class. And Mourinho, yeah, he knows what he's doing. He does play the game, but he's still a bell end.
Rich?
My top 3, Jose's in there, just for the little things like fucking when he goes down the tunnel before the game's finished or half time, little shits like that. The vile mind games he used to try and play against Arsene and stuff like that. The fact that I see just an arrogant prick. Jose's up there for me. Tony Pulis is another one I was never a big fan of. I didn't like the way his teams played football. The whole Stoke thing, and after when Ramsey got his leg shattered by Shawcross, and the fallout from all that, he's up there in my list of not liked managers. And the other one, the top one for me, is Mark Hughes. Couldn't stand him as a player. Couldn't stand him as a manager. The guy's been rightly binned off by pretty much every club he's ever had, because he's just a terrible, terrible manager. How he got those jobs in the first place, I will never know. But that's my top 3 that I can think of at the top of my head: Jose, Pulis, and Hughes.
He got those jobs because he played for Man United and he was a Welsh legend. Other than that, he did fuck all. Josh, you've had plenty of time to simmer on this. What have you got?
Number 1, Graham Souness.
Oh, he was
what a twat.
Still is.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Oh, my God, does he think that
70s footballer who still thinks he knows it all.
Oh, the sun must be shining directly out of his orifice.
No sun in Glasgow.
Oh, what a twat. I hate him. I hate Graham Souness. I think it's probably up there. I think for me, Jose isn't in there either for me. Alan Chocolado Pardew. If he was made of chocolate, he would eat himself. He loves himself that much. Oh, Pardew. No, not having it with him. He's in there as well. I've heard nice things about Neil Warnock, but he does look like a goblin. So I can't look away from that. Oh, Colin Wanker. So I think I'll stick with Neil Warnock, Souness, and Alan Chocolado Pardew.
And I really like Ian Holloway, only because he goes mental. And one of my favourite ever managers, Barry Fry. I've met him twice. I met him at the 2001 FA Cup final in the lift. And I gone, Barry, if I knew you were coming, I'd have got a lift. He just stared at me. And then I saw him driving around the Huntingdon Ring Road once in his Mercedes convertible. I just shouted at him, "Oi, Barry, I told you to wash that and bring it straight back." He looked at me with no fucking idea. All he heard was, So, yeah, I'm going to shut up now and move on. Next question is, where are we down? We've done this, we've done that. Shane says, what do you guys make of Guendouzi's comments? Do you see a future for him at AFC? Who should we sign to replace him? And Odegaard loan or permanent? I think we've already covered the Guendouzi bit. Nick, do you see a future for him at Arsenal, Guendouzi?
Well, it depends. Like I said, it depends what happens once we talk to him, and if he's sorted his life out. Probably not. You know how he keeps talking in the media and how he's been playing, but you know he didn't cost us hardly any money, so we'd probably get at least what we paid for him back. And if he did, and then we could put that towards signing Odegaard on a permanent deal.
So that is a yes to the Odegaard permanent deal thing. You've answered the question before I finished answering it right. Who was next? I think I'll go. What? Someone breathed then. I wasn't looking. Who breathed? Who wants to say something?
It was me, Dani. Sorry, just an addendum to the Odegaard thingy. How much would you guys pay for him?
It's got to be 40 million plus, hasn't it?
I'd say if we can get him for 35, it's a steal.
You've undercut me by 5 million. You shit.
I know, right?
Businessman doesn't fuck about.
Yeah, you see me on David Dickinson's Real Deal on Tuesday.
Are you trying to flog Chris's old I don't know, Chris's
Twitter
old
handle?
I was literally about to say that you beat me to it.
I'm trying to think of something piratey off of his boat, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I've stopped flog his Twitter handle.
Oh dear, I forgot what the question was now. Someone save me.
How much would you pay for Odegaard?
Oh yeah, 40 million. Thank you very much. I'm glad someone's listening and taking
You already answered it as well.
Had I? Excellent.
Yeah.
Nick, how much would you pay for him?
40 million and a pound.
Oh, cheeky. So I think people are saying 45 and 50 million. Have we all answered that question? Should I move on to the next one?
Yes.
Yep.
Right, we'll go to what's the question? Anything I said? Okay, Josh from Phil Macker in the Twitter, the YouTube chat. What do you think Arteta could be doing better? Well, he's shooting more, he's defending more, he's got rid of all the dead wood, he's dropping players when they misbehave. Is there anything else he could be doing?
I wouldn't say work on recruitment, but I think it's just continue what he's doing. I think the stuff we are seeing, I think we could be more attractive in our attacking play. I think that's still to come, and find that balance between being quite defensively, we'll go with resilient, to then becoming just a lot better to watch going forward, because I think we're still not fully there. I think potentially, Formally Knows is coming with substitutions need to be better. I think he does still need to learn that. And just, I think game management is the other thing that's coming from it is, game management is a problem. But he's not the only manager in the league right now that is struggling with game management, having a team that dominates constantly. But I think it will come in time with that one. Substitutions, I think it helps if the squad is smaller for him. If he has fewer options, then he won't make so many strange ones. Like we didn't see Martinelli on the bench, and I know a lot of people would have seen Martinelli as an option. And I think Willian has shown that when he does come on, that he can offer us something. Not necessarily the sub we want to see all the time, but you can at least see some logic behind it.
I think the only thing I'd add to that is stop playing out from the back. It's all well and good saying you want to do that, but it's like me saying, from now on, we are all doing this podcast in Brazilian Portuguese. I can want it. It's not going to happen because none of you know how. So I'm going to do it.
I'd say on terms of kicking out from the back, or playing out from the back, the only other option is we play it long, and we aren't winning the ball in the air constantly. We're going to turn it over more, and we're going to put more problems on our defence by not playing out from the back. Yeah, Xhaka might have a brain fart and kick it against Chris Wood once in 100 games, but 99 times out of 100, we're doing well. And we're playing out from the back is... You can see why we do it. I think we do need to look at the personnel that are in there. Like, I don't expect David Luiz to be first choice centre back next season, and I don't expect Xhaka to be first choice in our midfield either. I think it's working on the player's mentality rather than abandoning a footballing philosophy that's working for us.
I agree with that. Right, Richard, Avon Teddington from our chat on the YouTubing says, who do we rotate for Olympiacos?
Well, like I said, Aubameyang's nice and fresh. So I could see Holding and Mari coming in defence. Partey has looked very leggy. I think he's struggling to. I think he's not fully fit, and he's also not struggling to adapt to the league, but he's obviously like it's more physically demanding, I think, than maybe La Liga is, just with the constant pressing and short sprints that you're having to make in the Premier League. I think he's another one that could probably do the rest. If Saka's got the twinge on his hamstrings, obviously he's not going to be playing, I would imagine. So Pepe coming in to start, Willian maybe. Like I said, we've got the 3 goals, so you don't need to. And like I said, they were so poor, Olympiacos. I don't think we need to have everybody still in there. But, you've got the likes of Hector to come back in. He was rested the other day. I think the left-back situation is a bit of a worry. It's, it's a lot of minutes we're putting in on Tierney. But we unfortunately have no alternative unless you put like Cedric on at left-back. But then if you do that, I think you need a left footer in front of him, because I think you need one to go in and one to go out. Just because I think whenever he's played there with a Willian or something like that, they're both looking to cut inside. They're both looking to come across the defenders and into the center of the pitch. And I think you need one, like I say, one to overlap and stuff like that. So I think mainly it's going to be the defenders. I think maybe Partey is going to be rested, and like I said, probably bring Aubameyang in from the cold. Would be my guesses.
Okie dokie. Yeah, some good points there. Right, 2 more questions. Penultimate one to Nick from John in the YouTube chat. If Arsenal have 30 to 40 million to spend in the summer on a creative midfielder, would you rather sign Odegaard or Ben Dwyer? That Brentford bloke. Norwich bloke.
You mean the Norwich bloke?
The Norwich bloke.
Is there one at Brentford with a name like that?
Ben Rama.
He's at West Ham now.
Oh, fuck him. Go on.
Well, probably Odegaard, because we can see, he can do it in the Premiership. Especially if we'll know by the end of the season. I don't think you're going to get Buendia out of Norwich. I think they're 10 points clear at the top of the league now. For them to stay in that league next year, it's going to be worth, upwards of 100 million. They're not going to sell, I think they've got probably 3 of their best players that people might like. They're not going to sell them, they're not going to sell them cheap, especially not at the start of the season. You might get them the season after if they get relegated. You might get them for 20, 30 million, but you wouldn't get them for 50, 60 in the summer because it's worth too much to them.
Yes, the £150 million if you get promoted, isn't it? If you work out the straight up and then relegated and the parachute payments for the next 3 years. So there's no point in selling them. They're decent players. Right, final question, and then back to you, Josh, to end the show. From Superflea in the chat. Should we raid Monaco and Lille for players like Benot, Badishili, William I think he's made these up. He's number wanged them. Guebels, Jonathan David, thank fuck for that, and Bubakari Sumar. Fucking hell, he's tucked me up like a kipper there.
I could understand at least the last two. I wasn't sure about the rest.
Don't hate. There's no room in this world for hate. We need love. That's what Chris tells us.
Yeah, I think so. Should we raid Monaco and Lille? Potentially, if we're playing Football Manager. They're all quite good players. But for me, I think I trust whoever Arteta and Edu go after. Like I was saying on the Cedric signing, it was shrewd. It was smart. Odegaard, again, shrewd, smart signings. I'd like us to continue down that path, really, and get players in like that. If it so happens to be those kind of players, then yes, I would look for them. But I think there are certain players that we could get after from there, but Champions League football might be a prerequisite for them to join us.
Oh, apparently Superflea says they scouted them on FIFA. It means but we know, what does Jeff say, people? Anyone?
FIFA's not real life.
But he certainly does. Remember Jeff? I remember. He retweeted that the show is live. So if you're out there, Jeff, please come home. Let us know you're safe. We miss you. A voice of reason. Well, there you go, Josh. That's all the questions. It's back to you in your standard definition loveliness.
Thank you very much. There are now at least 6 pixels in my from my webcam, and I will jump between each one whilst I ask everybody for their shout-outs. As nobody's probably thought about them, I will give my first gentleman's nod to the man, the myth, the legend. Actually, he's not a legend. Legend. Chris, the pirate, for getting his Twitter back. So at AFC Freddy 8, remember, block that account. Don't want any of his nonsense. You've had it enough already. You've realised how much better Twitter is. Without him, block him.
True, because it would be such a nice place about him.
Exactly. Who wants to go next? Dani?
Yeah, one from the pod to Sophie and fake Meg Ryan, her other half. They've spent 18 happy years together. And so, yeah, congratulations to us, to them, to us. Well, she's been on enough. Maybe we are included in that. And commiserations to a ginger little scrote who apparently lost $2,500 on the football index. Mug.
I would say it's not me. I didn't lose any money on the football index.
Oh, you ginger scrote, would I? At least not when you're listening.
No, that's true. Nick, any shout-outs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't normally do shout-outs because I don't hardly do midweek shows, but I'll steal one from Carl. The last person to follow me on Twitter, James Rowell Stokes. Stokes! I mean, it's usually just these weird, like, Instagram porn accounts that follow me and want me to give them money. So it's nice to get a real person follow me on there.
He's still asking you for money, though, to be fair, isn't he?
Yeah, he's asking me for money as well.
Talking of Stokes, Mr. James Rowell Stokes, Curly Whirly from the Goonosphere pod has joined our WhatsApp group and will be doing more shows with us. And I've also asked Jock, who's Dan Betts on Twitter, the world-renowned blogger. He said he wouldn't mind coming and joining our group. I'm not saying they've joined ABW on a free transfer or anything. I think we're just warming them up until they can get back to doing the Goonosphere stuff. And I've asked Daniel as well, because Simi Javel I think he's moved on. So there you go, that's those 3. And hopefully they'll come and do stuff with us, because God knows, Josh, most of the other fuckers at our pod can't be bothered, can they?
No, I think it's just us. I think it's just us 4, isn't it? I think that's all that's left.
I think it is.
Oh, well, no, of course, Carl kick off if I don't mention him.
Femi's got the decorators in, so clapped him on there. I think he's gone a little bit too far with his feministing. I don't know what that is. Some word like that. Where you're not. Where you
should move on and ask Richard for a shout out. Richard, who's your shout out for?
My shout out is for one of my best mates who lives in New Orleans. He's got the Twitter handle of at No Laguna. He's had a pretty tough time. A couple of family members of him had passed away recently, and they are over in Ireland, and he's stuck over in the States. But just want to let him know that I'm thinking about him, and I love you, man. And I hope the North London derby has cheered you up a little bit.
Excellent. And yeah, everybody ABW, big shout out to him as well. Big love, big hugs. No kisses, because we're not that lovely. Right, that takes us up to an hour and 40 minutes of the podcast. We could stretch it out a little bit longer if we really wanted to. Or we can say we don't know who's on Thursday. It's a 5:55 kickoff. So I'm already ruling myself out for that before Dani asks, or I think he has already. So we don't know who's on. It's going to be a mystery. Who knows? There's only one way to find out. Stay tuned to everywhere where you can follow us. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on the Facebook. You can follow us on the Twitch. You can follow us on the Discord. And Dani's going to sneeze. He hasn't muted himself. And there we go.
Bless
that is a lovely bit of audio snot for everybody. There we go. He's now muted himself. So you're all welcome. There you go. So yeah, I think the only thing.
What a wonderful bookend to the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Start with Dani's genitals and end with his snot. Outstanding.
I'm like a human snail.
Oh. Yeah, I would say thank you. I'm going to say thank you to 66% of the panel this evening for being on. Richard, Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure to podcast with you. Dani.
Thanks for having me on.
It's all right.
I wasn't even meant to be here.
Well, you're here now, and look what you've done. Right, Dani, the best thing you can do is just
8-bit
turn
boy.
this shit off. Yep. Yeah, I'm the 8-bit man. Deal with it. Turn this shit off.
Did you say thanks to Nick? Nick is very quiet.
I did say thanks to Nick.
I was sneezing, Josh. I didn't know. Sorry. Okay, tell me to end the show properly again, and I'll do it.
Right, everybody. We are going to end the show now. There's going to be no adverts. We could put an advert in. Dani might sneeze again. We can all listen to it. Or you can say, have a great week. Keep it Arsenal. And Dani, switch this shit off.